Welcome to the SCP Foundation Classified Briefing. Today's subject: SCP-1440, the Old Man from Nowhere. For ongoing access to critical intelligence, ensure you like and subscribe to this channel. Initial encounter with SCP-1440 occurred in a remote region of rural Romania, prompted by anomalous localized energy surges and widespread ecological collapse within a 5-kilometer radius. The entity, manifesting as an elderly, unkempt male, resists all conventional attempts at physical detainment. Standard containment protocols involving restraint and relocation invariably fail, often resulting in severe, unpredictable environmental or personnel-related collateral damage in its immediate vicinity. Its presence appears to induce extreme misfortune in any who attempt to interact with it, and this effect propagates to an alarming degree across surrounding objects and living organisms. Establishing a stable containment perimeter proved impossible. Direct interaction exacerbates its detrimental influence. Its designation as the Old Man from Nowhere reflects its unpredictable origins and the profound difficulty in establishing a baseline for its anomalous properties. Maintain extreme distance and avoid any form of direct engagement with SCP-1440 at all costs. Your survival and the safety of Foundation assets depends on it. The anomaly's effect, while devastating, is not overtly malicious. Instead, SCP-1440 appears to be intrinsically linked to a localized probabilistic field of misfortune that actively interferes with causality. Any living entity, object, or system within its proximity attempting to directly aid, hinder, or even simply interact with it will experience severe, often catastrophic, adverse events. For instance, attempts to provide it with sustenance have resulted in food poisoning, structural collapses, or sudden, inexplicable equipment failures. Conversely, attempts at forceful restraint have led to the rapid deterioration of advanced materials, sudden health crises among personnel, or even localized seismic activity. The anomaly itself seems unaffected, merely passing through these unfortunate occurrences as an observer. This extends to its environment. Prolonged presence in any area invariably leads to resource depletion, ecological imbalances, and ultimately, systemic failure. You must understand that SCP-1440 is not hostile in the conventional sense. It is a walking catastrophe, a living nexus of bad luck. Never engage with it. Its very existence is a threat to any structured system, physical or biological. Our initial understanding of SCP-1440's catastrophic nature was solidified through the incident involving the agricultural settlement designated HAMLET-9. Prior to Foundation intervention, reports of bizarre, escalating misfortunes began emanating from the remote region. Investigation revealed that the anomaly had entered the village approximately 3 weeks prior. Its presence triggered a rapid, systematic decline, crop blights of unknown origin, spontaneous mechanical failures of essential farming equipment, and an epidemic of highly improbable domestic accidents culminating in widespread fatalities. The village's well collapsed, its only generator exploded without cause, and communication lines mysteriously severed. Within days, the entire population had either perished from unrelated, yet consistently fatal, occurrences, or fled in terror, only to meet similar fates outside the settlement's perimeter. This event tragically demonstrated that SCP-1440 does not need to actively cause harm. Its mere presence amplifies misfortune to an unbearable degree. This profound effect on complex systems, even without direct interaction, necessitates a policy of absolute non-interference. Any attempt to localize or influence its movement carries an unacceptable risk to all involved. Following the tragic events at Hamlet-9 and numerous subsequent, albeit smaller-scale instances, Foundation assets established long-range observation protocols to map SCP-1440's migratory patterns. It typically traverses sparsely populated or wilderness areas, though its trajectory appears random and unpredictable. Satellite imagery and remote sensor data confirm that its passage invariably leaves an ecological wasteland in its wake. Sudden localized droughts or floods, inexplicable animal die-offs, and rapid, widespread plant pathology are common. Infrastructure, even remote scientific outposts, invariably suffers catastrophic failure if the anomaly passes too close. Attempts to establish monitoring stations directly in its anticipated path have consistently resulted in immediate system failure and personnel incapacitation, underscoring the impossibility of direct observation or intervention. Its movements appear driven by an unknown compulsion, but the consistent outcome is environmental degradation and the eventual collapse of any organized system it encounters. Therefore, our primary operational directive remains focused on identification and post-event analysis. Never attempt to predict its route with active deployment. The primary mechanism by which SCP-1440 induces its detrimental effects is not through direct active malice, but rather through an inherent passive manipulation of probability. Essentially, any action, system, or entity that attempts to benefit, observe, or even neutrally interact with the anomaly will experience a statistically improbable series of misfortunes. This extends to indirect influence as well. Merely possessing knowledge of its location and then attempting to use that knowledge to a strategic advantage is sufficient to trigger the effect. For instance, a Foundation asset attempting to set up a containment zone around its projected path would find their equipment malfunctioning, their supply lines compromised, and their personnel afflicted by an array of unrelated, escalating calamities. The anomaly's presence distorts reality's favor, causing all probabilities to shift against anything in its vicinity. It is not an attack. It is a fundamental unbalancing of luck. This necessitates that all personnel maintain a strictly reactive posture. Do not, under any circumstances, allow yourself or your operations to become the target of its indirect influence. Incident Report 1440 Alpha details the near-catastrophic events stemming from SCP-1440's unpredicted trajectory near Site-19. Despite our established non-intervention protocols, its approach inadvertently triggered a cascade of improbable failures. Security systems across multiple sectors experienced simultaneous, unrelated power fluctuations. Automated containment protocols for Keter-class anomalies registered critical errors without discernible cause. Simultaneously, several on-site personnel reported unusual bouts of illness, accidental injuries, and equipment malfunctions. One researcher, attempting a routine data backup, inadvertently initiated a system-wide deletion, nearly compromising critical intelligence. The anomaly never entered Site-19 directly, yet its mere proximity caused an exponential increase in operational mishaps and critical failures, severely straining our resources. We observed a direct correlation between its closest approach and the peak of these unfortunate incidents. This demonstrates the profound, indirect threat it poses to even the most secure Foundation facilities. You must understand that simply being in its vicinity, even without direct interaction, can unravel years of meticulously engineered security. Proximity to SCP-1440 guarantees statistical disaster for any structured environment. The anomaly's indirect influence extends beyond physical infrastructure to the psychological well-being of personnel. Prolonged proximity or repeated exposure to its area of effect has been observed to induce significant psychological stress. Individuals frequently report an escalating sense of unease, heightened anxiety, and a pervasive belief in persistent misfortune. This is not a direct cognitohazard, but rather a reaction to the tangible, undeniable cascade of failures and accidents that plague operations near it. Researchers and field agents have exhibited increased rates of burnout, depression, and a peculiar form of fatalism, believing their efforts are inherently doomed. Decision-making capabilities can be subtly degraded as individuals become overly cautious or, conversely, reckless in a desperate attempt to break the pattern of bad luck. Interpersonal conflicts also rise as personnel attribute failures to each other rather than the unseen influence. You must be acutely aware of these potential effects on yourself and your teammates. Maintaining rigorous mental hygiene and immediately reporting any adverse psychological shifts is crucial for operational integrity. Do not underestimate the insidious erosion of morale that SCP-1440 can inflict. Direct interview transcripts with SCP-1440 are exceedingly rare and fraught with inherent risk. Any attempt to engage it inevitably suffers from the anomaly's misfortune-inducing properties, often resulting in equipment failure, data corruption, or unforeseen personnel accidents during the interview itself. Despite these challenges, we have managed to extract crucial information. SCP-1440 consistently refers to itself as the Old Man from Nowhere, burdened by a primordial curse that brings destruction to all who attempt to help or harm it. It claims to be pursued by two powerful, non-corporeal entities, which it calls the Hunters, who ensure its curse manifests wherever it lingers. Its testimony suggests a cyclical pattern of seeking solace, or an end to its plight, only for its presence to invariably lead to the downfall of those around it. While its narratives are consistent, verification is almost impossible due to its anomalous effect, rendering any corroborating evidence subject to extreme improbability. You must approach any statements from SCP-1440 with extreme caution, recognizing the deep limitations on our ability to discern truth from anomalous influence, and never, under any circumstances, attempt to aid it in any way. Traditional containment methodologies have demonstrably failed when applied to SCP-1440. Initial attempts involve standard reinforced cells, remote sites, and even subterranean facilities. Each instance rapidly deteriorated into a series of catastrophic failures. Structural integrity would compromise, often due to improbable environmental events or unforeseen material fatigue. Critical containment systems would malfunction, invariably leading to breaches. Personnel assigned to these sites consistently experienced an escalating frequency of severe accidents, ranging from minor injuries to fatalities, resulting in severe attrition rates. Resources allocated for its security and study would vanish, be destroyed, or become unusable through inexplicable means. The anomaly's inherent property of bringing misfortune extends directly to any effort designed to restrict its movement. This makes active, physical containment not only futile, but counterproductive, as it escalates the scale and severity of the destructive events. Therefore, our current strategy is a carefully managed disengagement, tracking its movements from a safe distance, a measure necessitated by the impossibility of conventional control. Never assume that a stronger cell or more remote location will be effective against SCP-1440. It will only accelerate disaster. The implications of SCP-1440's existence for Foundation operations are profound. It represents an uncontainable, peripatetic anomaly that cannot be directly engaged or controlled without incurring catastrophic losses. Its curse ensures that any attempt to help or harm it, or even to establish robust physical containment, will inevitably result in widespread destruction, resource depletion, and personnel casualties. The primary threat level for SCP-1440 remains Keter, not due to malicious intent, but because its very presence is a constant, unpredictable generator of anomalous misfortune. Your duty regarding SCP-1440 is therefore one of extreme caution and calculated disengagement. You will not attempt to intercept, contain, or directly interact with the anomaly. Instead, you are to monitor its trajectory from a safe distance, predict potential impact zones, and enact necessary civilian evacuation and memory alteration protocols as directed by command. The goal is to mitigate collateral damage without drawing its destructive influence onto Foundation assets. This requires constant vigilance and strict adherence to established protocols, recognizing that proactive intervention is itself an act of self-sabotage when dealing with SCP-1440s. This concludes your classified briefing on SCP-1440, the Old Man from Nowhere. Stay vigilant, Foundation personnel. Dismissed.